You know, the Georgie Awards for us have meant a lot over the years, as much as I sometimes like to believe that I can control my anxiety over the awards. You know, the competition every year seems to get stiffer and stiffer. So it really is a feather in our cap, one, to get into the finals. And then two, it is very exciting to win an award, and something I really try to tell myself I should never take for granted. It's very exciting when your name comes up and you wait with bated breath for them to open that envelope. It is truly an exciting moment, and it means a lot to both me and my whole team. It did, you know, when the feeling for us when we first got nominated was thrilling. We had entered, I believe, the year before, and hadn't even made it to the finals. So that was a little bit disappointing. And then the next time I entered, I understood the criteria a little bit better. So sort of on a wing and a prayer, I had a photographer come in, we made the entry, and then waited and waited. And then all of a sudden we got nominated as a finalist. And so on the basis of that, I was so excited that I rented hotel rooms, invited my client, and I think there was probably 7 or 8 of us that went down for that first gala event down in Vancouver on the waterfront. Very exciting evening. Of course, we didn't win that time, but I still remember the satisfaction of being a finalist and how exciting it was to have the whole team and our client there. Yeah, you know, how's the feelings changed? I mean, I'd like to think that after 16 years, some of the anxiety and novelty might have worn off, because it creates a lot of stress sitting there. One, when the email comes across my desk that announces the finalists, there's that slow tingle that starts in your toes and works your way up, and it almost feels like there's a bit of a sweat breaking out as I quickly scroll through the list of entries, trying to remember, you know, what did we enter, looking for those categories, holding my breath, waiting to see if our name shows up in the finalists. And that huge sigh of relief as you see your name pop up the first time, and then anxiety starting all over again is like, oh, well, we entered, you know, like 4. So going through to the next category, and then, you know, your heart drops down as you realize your name's not in that category and you missed on that one. And then, you know, that sort of process of going all the way to the bottom and then going back to the top, checking it twice just to make sure you haven't missed any. And then that sense of satisfaction and sometimes elation, you know, oh, wow, you know, we made it to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 entries in the finals. And then, of course, that starts all over again the night of the gala. I find it so distracting. It's hard to enjoy the event, really, as you know, I'm fairly competitive and I get so wrapped up. I don't think I'm a very good dinner guest the night of the awards. I'd probably have more fun if we actually, you know, were there and didn't have anything in the finals. But yeah, it really hasn't changed. In some ways, I think I'm even more anxious today than I was the first time. You know, I think the Georgie Awards for us mean different things, you know, to me and to my staff. For me, it really is validation of the quality that we do. And I think sometimes for me, it's not enough to have a happy client. I really do thrive on that third-party validation, both from the judges and then the acknowledgement that we get. And interestingly, the Georgies have done such a great job building their brand that it's not only people in British Columbia who respect the value of that award, it's also people from across the country. And I'm always somewhat taken by surprise when I run into somebody from another part of the country who congratulates us, whether it's a recent award or they've noticed that we've won awards in the past and compliment us for that. It's very gratifying. There's a lot of hard work that goes into the projects that we build, and it does sometimes really help make that hard work seem all that much more worthwhile. You know, for my staff, they also put their heart and soul into the projects, and they are very, very proud every time we both get nominated as finalists. We tried to celebrate that internally, and then particularly when we do win an award, I know they really feel that pride of ownership of the award. And to that end, very exciting to get back to in-person awards this year. We bought a table, so we'll have 10 people down there to help us celebrate, hopefully, getting another project across the finish line, not only as a finalist, but as an award winner. It's been very interesting seeing the evolution of the Georgie Awards. And I think when we first entered 16 or so years ago, the likelihood there would have been less than 200 entries. Today, that number is exponentially more. I can't remember the last time I heard what the number of entries are, but I think it's well north of 400 entries today. So the level of competition has gotten harder and harder and harder. Not only have the number of projects increased, I think there's a few more categories, which is great, creates more opportunity. I think in the past, particularly 16 years ago, in any one category, you might have had 6 or 7 entries. I know today they can have categories that have upwards of 20 entries. I can't imagine how difficult it is for the judges to be sorting through, 20 entries, all of which will look good. And to boil that down to 4 or 5 finalists, and then to come to a consensus on who actually is the winner. So I think, whether you win or not, getting to the finals really is an acknowledgement that you have built something that stands above the crowd. So I was giving some thought to what year really stands out for me. And I think the third time we entered, we had fantastic project. We had taken an old house in Whistler, and initially we're going to fix the foundation. And as we dug into the design of the project, the clients decided they wanted to do more. And in the end, we picked this house up. We actually moved it back on the lot. We added a garage. We added additional square footage. They were very interested. This was the mid 2000s. They were very interested in green building standards and energy efficiency, which was not common in those days. That was very rare. And so they actually gave us the opportunity to do our first Built Green Canada labeled house. We met the highest standard at that time, which was Built Green Gold. And that was, as I noted, that was the third year that we entered the Georgies. We entered that house for 2 awards, which was best renovation, I think, under a certain value. And we were working with a fantastic landscape architect at the time. And I noticed that there was a landscape award. So we entered it for landscaping. And much to my shock and amazement, we won both awards. And that was 2007. And so, yeah, that really stands out to me, as those were our first 2 awards, I think. And they were very special. One, I think that really sort of set us formally on the path for high performance sustainable building practices once we got that first Built Green label under our belt. And of course, I think that every house that we have built since that time has been labeled under one standard or another. So, both winning the award and the type of project that it was that really set us down this path to become a leader in sustainable high performance housing. So as we look forward to awards in the future, I would like to see, particularly nationally, them have a broader spectrum of entries for net zero. And it would be great to see an award sometime in the future that starts to really consider embodied carbon. And so not only just energy performance, but also creating awards around low carbon construction. I think this is going to be very important as a nation. We move towards our goal of net zero carbon by 2050, starting to really recognize and award great projects, not only in terms of how they look, but an award that also rewards the value that's brought to that, and not only in single family construction, but as RDC starts to move into more multi-unit residential construction, I think specific awards that focus on that type of more affordable housing is going to be important. One, to recognize the builders, but also to publicize and reward those efforts in moving us towards our climate goals.